So my case study is focused on a 4-year-old boy who has been diagnosed with ADHD. ADHD is defined as a complex neuropsychiatric disorder characterized by developmentally inappropriate levels of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Those are the symptoms that are most commonly known to us about ADHD. If you have a child in your class that suffers from ADHD, they are extremely hyperactive, they have no attention to detail, they have difficulty following through the task, and even areas that may interest them. If they enjoy building in the block area, it may not last very long, maybe a few minutes at most. So it can be difficult coming up with tasks that really focus on them and help them follow through and get through to the end with their goal and while keeping their goal in mind from the beginning. So after some extensive research, I found that puzzles often help children with ADHD. They know puzzles, they know what puzzles are. They are concrete pieces that they can hold in their hand, satisfying any sensory issues. And also through my research, I found that children with ADHD often suffer from fine motor delays. That is a result of the neurotransmitters in their brain being on a certain delay. That is what causes their behavioral issues and a number of other issues that children with ADHD suffer from. I chose to focus my lesson on the apple cutting project. I started my lesson, I opened it up in a large group with all of the children in the class, and I gave them all pieces of an apple to test, to taste, a green apple, a red apple, a yellow apple, with the hopes of connecting an actual apple and pieces of an apple to creating a puzzle. They each would taste a piece of the apple and then write on a large chart paper in the column that most associates with the apple that they preferred, whether it's red, yellow, or green. Engaging in this shared writing experience also helps them, when they would go back to create their puzzle, remember what the color was that they actually chose. So after the large group session, I would dismiss the children to their centers, allowing them free choice at the time. If they would like to work with the assistants and create their own apple puzzle, they're able to do so. But for my specific lesson, as the lead teacher in the room, I would take the child, my case study, I called him Preston. I would work one-on-one with Preston. Children with ADHD require one-on-one support, especially when you're working on their fine motor skills, because they are delayed and they really need that attention, that self-talk, that modeling as you're doing it with them. So I would, in my lesson plan for the one-on-one support for my case study, I would lead him to a table and invite him to complete a puzzle, complete a completely different puzzle related somehow to apples or fruits and vegetables, most likely apples. Let him complete it. Much research has shown that puzzles really do help children with fine motor disabilities. They're able to pick them up. They have to play with the pieces. They have to figure out how to fit the pieces together. It helps with their grasp and their grip, completely related to children with ADHD and their fine motor issues. So after completing the puzzle, I would ask my case study, would you like to make your own puzzle? Would you like to make your own apple puzzle? We have to make the apple puzzle the same color as the apple you chose as your favorite. I would show him the chart again, let him find his name. He likes red. He likes the red apples. So show him some crayons. Choose which color would you like to color in your puzzle. So I would guide him towards red, color in his puzzle, and then we would start with the actual cutting. Another important point to mention is following directions. Children with ADHD have a very difficult time following directions, especially a 4-year-old. You would have to deliver these directions in concrete, simple, one-step directions, which really can only be done in one-on-one support. Child with ADHD would get lost amongst the shuffle if you weren't sitting there one-on-one with the child. So once the child has finished coloring the puzzle, I would provide him with mini loop scissors. They provide a larger grasp. It's not your traditional blunt scissors that maybe the other children in the class are able to use. The mini loop scissors allow him to use his entire hand to open and close. As we're cutting the puzzle, I would say, please cut the outside of the apple first. We're going to focus on the outside of the apple. He would use his mini loop scissors to cut, while I modeled the action of open, close with mini loop scissors as well. It's really important for children with ADHD to make the connection between what their bodies do and what they're trying to perform. So as we went through, I would say open, close. So Preston was aware that he is supposed to open and close his hand as he cuts. If he needs help, actual physical help, I would guide him with his hand and use self-talk the entire time so he was aware of the actions that I was doing as well. So after he completes the outside cutting, then we would start on the inside. Again, simple one-step directions. Now we're going to cut the inside of the apple. Let's cut along the dotted line on the inside. So we would cut along that line. At the end, I would allow him to put together his puzzle, create a box with his name on it that gives him ownership over his project. It connects him back to the goal at the beginning to follow through task. My main objectives of this lesson were to develop fine motor skills. I went into Domain 2, physical development, demonstrates hand-eye coordination and dexterity to manipulate objects, such as paintbrushes and blunt scissors. Approaches to learning and curiosity and initiative in Domain 1 was another state standard I addressed. And the last one in Domain 4, communication, language, and literacy, demonstrate they are motivated to communicate by listening attentively for a variety of purposes, such as following directions. Assessment would be performed throughout. Since I am focusing more on a skill rather than content, formative assessment would be done throughout the whole process, observing Preston, making my notes. Is he able to use the mini loop scissors to cut? Is he not? What other accommodations can I make to help him develop his fine motor skills further? My summative assessment would be when I bring the class back together at the end, assuming that the rest of the children worked with the assistants to make their own puzzles. Were they able to make the connection between the shared writing experience in the beginning and their apple? Were they able to take ownership over their project? And were they able to complete it with their fine motor skills? And yeah, that's about it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you.